Hi, a very good morning. I'd like to welcome you and welcome you back to the Talk Corner. My name is Auntie Jemima, and here at the Talk Corner we talk about anything and everything. Today's topic is demystifying and understanding childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is a subject and a topic that we have been avoiding. I'd say avoiding because what I've seen in your comments and in your questions is that it is something that needs to be addressed, and yet so many people are running away from it. One of the most concerning comments that I read is that someone said that they'd rather take their stories to the grave. So that means they know it's there, and yet they are not ready to address it. And I think it is because we have not had time to talk about childhood trauma. But today I'm very happy to be joined by friends and colleagues and professionals who are ready to start demystifying, addressing, and talking about childhood trauma. Why talk about it? When we talk about something when we address something, I think it helps someone somewhere unpack. It helps someone somewhere relate. And one of the things that has also helped me as a person is to learn that someone else is going through what I'm going through. And when you hear someone relating to your problem, it becomes lighter, it becomes easier. And so today I am joined and I'm happy to welcome to the stage friends of mine, colleagues of mine who are very intentional and passionate about mental health. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome on stage my very good friend Sid Wamboy. Please give her a round warm of applause as she comes to stage. Beautiful African woman. Mamma mia. Karibu sana Sid. Thank you. And I'd also like to welcome on stage my very good friend and colleague and someone whose knowledge in economics still leaves me wondering what he's doing on radio. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round warm of applause to Chito Ndlovu. Karibuni sana. So I'd like you to say hi to the audience, introduce yourselves, and then we'll begin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sid Wamboy. I am a radio presenter, creative as well, and I'm very passionate about mental health, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chito Ndlovu, media personality. We host a show together with Sid Wamboy on Kiss FM. I'm very excited to be here. I'm passionate about mental health. I'm passionate about life in general. So yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. And I said my name for the record. Oh, my name is Auntie Jemima. I am a comedian, a radio presenter, and we work together at Radio Africa. So we go straight to the topic, and I'll start with you, Sid. What is your experience in this area? What comes to mind first when you hear the word childhood trauma?
I'm just like, watcha, because you couldn't have brought someone who is, I'm not an expert, but you know how like you have life experience that kind of makes you an expert? So I come from a broken home, if you will, a very dysfunctional family, and so trauma is my second name. So yeah, broken home. I went to boarding school, I think at class 2, because that's how, that was how dysfunctional it was at home. And so a lot of trauma from my early years, my formative years, and I guess you carry that along, yeah? Because you don't understand a lot as you grow. But when you get to 18, then you start realizing, even from the relationships that you have, friendships, that there's something wrong, right? And it's up to you to either go for therapy or do your research around how you can help yourself.
Thank you, Sid. Chito, I'd like to hear your version. What comes to mind, or what's the first thing you think or you understand from childhood trauma?
I think for me, the thing that comes to my mind first is being hitting the wall, and just seeing sparks. I think for me, that's off the bat. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I can't even remember what happened, but all I know is I saw sparks. My head went whoa, and just having a fear of having conversations about even things that would happen in my life. I mean, there's a time I lost braces. I was chapward with an extension cable because I lost braces. Until date, I feel it's one of those things whereby it starts off as a child, you become an adult, and you are afraid in your own home to even break a plate. Like when a plate drops, you're like, that for me, honestly, sounds dramatic, but for me, when I think of childhood trauma, I think of, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Yeah.
You've talked about boarding school, and do you feel like they let you go at an early age? Or what comes to your mind, or what do you feel? Should they have waited maybe longer I don't want to use that word, but do you feel like they sent you off early?
Sending me to boarding school was a mercy because it was violence in the house. And I feel you may want to look at it as, you were sent home early, ulifukuzwa. But had I stayed home, I think I would be more damaged than, yeah.
I'd like to ask both of you, are you a firstborn?
Yes, firstborn.
Are you a firstborn? Why do you think it's common in firstborns? Why do you think? Because I did that video and a lot of people who related were firstborns. And someone commented and said it is because there is no manual in parenting. I also think and I believe there is no manual in this life. But should that be an excuse to the way we were raised up?
For me, first of all, I think the most important thing is there is no excuse to do harm to a child. Whether emotional, whether physical. I think for me, it's a choice when somebody decides to hurt a child in whichever way they do. I know I'm not an expert, but I know people will come and say, oh, they also have their own trauma they're dealing with. They have stuff they're dealing with. But I think when you accept the fact that you're bringing a child into this world, it's important for you to address the things that have affected you your whole life. That for me is number one. I think with firstborns, there's just a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectation. If you grew up in a Christian home, you're always taught how we give the first fruit to the Lord. And so the expectation of you as a firstborn is you have to have excellence. You're the one who opens the doors for everybody else. You are the one who everybody else has to follow after. And I think that pressure comes with a lack of compassion for you to be a child. So you will be seen running around and someone will look at like, get up, you're supposed to be reading, and things like that. But for me, my personal belief is there is no excuse for a parent to hurt their child based on their pain. I think for me, it's always deal with your pain. I'm a new father, and I always look at my child and I look at her and I say, I can't imagine some of the things that were done to me to do to her. Like sometimes I think about, I have moments literally in the house where I go, like, when you're just silent and you have, what was that? You're like, because you look at this child and you think about what you went through and you're like, why in God's world would somebody do that to this child? And just a constant reminder that that's my firstborn. But for me, it's you grow how you need to grow. I think there needs to be a grace that every parent should have over their children, whether first, whether second, whether third. There needs to be a grace to understand you will always be older than them. Your life experiences will always be more than your child. You can't expect a child to be 15 and all of a sudden to know math and to know money. How will they know what you've not taught them? Because that's what parenting is. You walk with your child, help them navigate through. But for me, the thing with firstborns, I feel, is always, it's a pressure. I also feel it's a need on a parent's ego, like, huyu lazima akuwe mtu mzuri. It's that, I can't say it's a need, it's like a want. Like you have to turn out however I imagined you to be in my mind. So when you come and you tell me you want to be a musician, but how do I say you want to be a musician and people are becoming engineers? What will people say about me as a parent, me as your father or as your mother? And I think for me, it's an ego thing with firstborns. Because yes, pride and joy of your household. You're the first, you're like, yeah. My father usually calls me the son of his youth. He always says, you're the son of my youth. Yeah. And I take it on a personal level, but I also take it like, oh, okay, so as a son of your youth, what does this son of your youth come with? But I mean, for me, off the bat of my head, it's always, there needs to be a grace. Yeah.
Thank you, Chito. I would want to know what the things you've explained. I'd like to hear from Sid first. What are some of the things you have identified as you grew older and you're like, it is because this was done to me as a child that I'm not able to do it now? I gave a few examples. I am not the best at expressing myself, but that was because I did not get that chance when I was growing up. I've seen that a lot even with younger parents today. When a second born comes in or when a third born comes in, there's always pressure to shush this first one first and let the smaller ones talk. Or grab a toy from this firstborn, give to the other one because this one is younger and you're told wewe sio mtoto tena and yet you're a child. What are some of the things that you've had to deal with and you clearly can tell it is because these things were not done to me or were done to me or were instilled in me as a child? Because I'd want parents to know the things maybe we are going through because of things they did or they didn't do to us. Yeah.
Number one is not being able to speak up for yourself because you've been beat down so much. Speaking up for yourself was never an option. Your opinion never counted, right? So it was your parents' way, the highway, or no way. Yeah. So in my adult life, I have found that sometimes I'd like to think that I'll talk about something I feel, which is something I've come into, but sometimes it's hard, you know? And it's because of that voice in your head that tells you, shut up, you know? Yeah, I have to remember this is a platform. Anyway, so not being able to speak for yourself, even in relationships. I haven't actively dated in 7 years because I recognize that I'm not right to be with, like I say, if you're gonna go for therapy, don't go for anyone else. Go for you. Because if you can do it for you, you'll be better enough for someone else. So I used to find that I couldn't express myself, conflict resolution was also very hard because when you're coming from a background where you're being shouted at, then your response to something bad is that you're gonna shout at someone else. Or you'll shut down. It's all that. Confidence. Oh my God, confidence. I had to really, there was a time I couldn't speak in front. The fact that I'm in radio, I don't even get how I am, like, because you lose your confidence, especially for a girl. It's very important to have that reassurance from your family that you're good enough, right? So if you grow up in a home where that is not affirmed, then your self-esteem is definitely going to be down. You will look down on yourself. A lot of anxiety as well. Like he said, sometimes you'll even break a plate in your own house. And then you'll hear a voice that is either shouting at you, you won't hear the words, but you will, it's a trauma response. And you have to actively, like, especially now that I'm living by myself, I've actually broken a plate in my house before. And I remember telling myself, so there was a voice that kept saying, that was stupid, that was, and I had to tell your inner child, you have to be like, plates break all the time. You have others, use the other one. And I even remember telling myself, collect the pieces so you don't hurt yourself. But in your house, when you're at your parents' house, they wouldn't even care about you hurting yourself. It was that you've broken a plate. They tell you to get the others and break them. Yeah, vunja zote. But it should be, make sure you're not stepping on the pieces. Your safety should come first before a plate that was bought to you, even if it was 2,000. Yeah, a lot of attention was put on material stuff. than on you. And if you're not careful, you'll pass that along to your kids.
Chito, what are some of the things you've had to work on as an adult, and you believe that if it was easier on you, you'd not be probably addressing the things you're addressing now?
I think one of them for me has been on the confidence perspective. Like, I'm not confident to do stuff on my own sometimes. Like, sometimes I literally tell my wife, let's go together. Like, cause you don't feel you are good enough to do these things. And even sometimes, even when you have something, you don't recognize the blessings you have, because all your life, all you heard was, you, like someone says they encouraged you, but you are always constantly told, the statement of, you should be grateful that you're in this house. You should be grateful that I have done this for you. Even fees. I'm like, I'm a child. How am I supposed to pay my own fees? But you're told you should be grateful that I paid your fees. And it's strange, because even as an adult, you earn a salary, you are doing these things, and you don't feel you deserve those things. You constantly hear that thing of, you should be grateful that you're able to do this. You should be grateful that. But one of the things for me has been confidence. Sometimes I've had, there's some, like when my daughter was being born, the conscious decision I had in my mind, I literally was talking to my wife and I told her, this is a me and you journey. I'm not calling anyone. Because I felt, for me, I needed to show me as an adult that, Chito, you can do this. Like, and it's only after my daughter was born when I called her, like I called my mother and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a baby that has come. She said, oh, Elikoja. Like, because I think I would have loved her to be there, but for me, in my mind, it was, this is for me. To be able to say, this journey that I'm starting now, I get to do it on my own. I think the other thing for me has just also been able to speak up for myself. I think my voice was always weird. I'm on radio, but my voice was always, it was stamped down. It was like when you speak, even if you are not happy about something, you couldn't not be happy. Unhappy was not an emotion you could have. Yes. When you get your house, go and be unhappy there. Like, you can't be unhappy. How are you unhappy? You have food. You have a house. I'm paying your fees. And that constant thing of, I'm doing this for you. When I was growing up, I didn't have these things. So you're like, wow, I don't have that reality. My reality is the reality you've given me is mine. And just being, I think even just being able to even pat myself on the back. I jog a lot in the mornings, and one of the things I constantly do is I try to jog the impossible route so that I can finish. The idea is not to jog. The idea is get it done. Because constantly you try to do something, you're told, no, that's a bad idea. Do something else. So you don't have the confidence to start something and see it through, because there's that voice. And as an adult, there is something my therapist always tells. She's told me, you have to reparent yourself. You have to have those conversations with yourself. So finish the jog. You wanted to do 10 kilometers? Just finish. You don't have to do it well. You don't have to do it in a specific time. Just get it done. And also just being able to say, hey, I've been able to do this. I've been able to do this. I've been able to do this. Even tell myself, it's okay. Because there are moments I get anxious. Something happens and I freeze. I don't know what to do. And just to also accept, hey, that's fine. Move. This is what we need to do. But just being able to reparent myself, for me, because my mom died when I was 8 years old, so there was a disconnect. She passed on and everything just went, it's like something broke. And then you get older, and I realize, like, now one of the things I've been doing even as an adult is to identify myself through who I believe my mom would see me as. So to be able to say, AB's mom, I imagine mom would say this, because of, I remember the tone of her voice. You know, those things, they seem small when you are younger, but as an adult, you remember the way your parent would tell you, I love you. And it helps you as an adult. You're like, oh yeah, someone loves me. Let me keep moving.